This is what we're going to be talking about now. And before I get into it, I want to re-emphasize this if-then, because that's what we're going to be working with. So, let's take a look at this conjecture here. Before I try to find a counterexample, something to show that the statement is false, I want to write it as an if-then statement. So I want to look at this as if blank, then blank. So get that down to those blanks and fill in. You always know when first lunch is over because they let you know. Okay, so if an integer n, for every integer n, n to the third is positive. So if what is true, what do I have to? What's my thing I'm considering? I've got n, and what's special about n? What does it have to be? It has to be, don't worry about this part here. If it's an integer. If n is an integer. Quick review. What is an integer? Negatives, positives, whole numbers. Okay. Then, what applies? N to the third is positive. So that's that statement turned into an if-then. Remember, you got the cabinet. Great. All right, yeah, that's right. I had to take away notes from somebody. I'll put them here next time. Guys. So, guys. Gentlemen. Thank you. That's the statement as an if-then. Now I want the counterexample. I want something that says that that overall statement is false. So I want to find some number that makes this true and that false. So let's start, before we go straight to negatives, let's just try a generic any old number, because some of these actually work out that easily that the first number you think of is going to violate it. So let's take the number 3. Is 3 an integer? Yeah. Yes. Is 3 to the third, that's 27, that's also positive. So that's not a counterexample. That actually supports the conjecture. Someone said, let's try a negative. Is negative 2 an integer? Yes. Yes. Now let's talk about what happens when I do negative 2 to the third. What do I get? Positive. Who said positive 8? I get negative 8. That's negative, right? What if you do it without?
If it's without the parentheses, wait, what is negative if it's in the parentheses?
It's still negative, because negative 8, even if you do it with either direction, and as implied, it's supposed to be in parentheses. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. 3 negatives, negative, positive, negative. You're back to negative again. Guys, it's back to negative. Yeah, exactly. What I've got here with negative 2 is a counterexample. It makes the if part true and the then part false. Counterexamples follow the first part of the conditional statement, but not the second. What's another counterexample besides negative 2? Negative 4, negative 1, negative 100. Any negative number will violate this statement. It will make it untrue. Some advice about finding counterexamples when it comes to things involving numbers. If you're looking for things to test because you're stuck, you want to test a positive number, 0, a negative number, and a fraction. If you test those 4 and it works for all 4, it's probably a true statement. If you're looking for a counterexample, it will probably be one of those 4 things will violate the statement overall. But you always want to check all 4 of them. Fractions. Number over a number. Usually 1 over 2 is hard enough that it will violate it. But your mileage will vary. Let's do one more of these. Excuse me. And again, start off by saying if blank, then blank. No. No, just these are examples of counterexamples. Okay, well, before we do it, let's set that up. CJ, talk to me. What do I have to have? What am I thinking about? I've got, well, I don't have that in this one. It says two complementary angles are not congruent. So if what? Okay, if I have two complementary angles, then what's true? Then not congruent. So I'm looking for two complementary angles that are not congruent, which is the same as saying two complementary angles that are congruent. So can you think of any cases where I have two angles that add to 90, complementary, but are congruent? 45 and 45 will do it. Those are two angles that are complementary. They add to 90, but they're the same. So they make the first part of the statement true and the second part of the statement false. As far as counterexamples go, can I use 30 and 60?
No. Yes.
They do, they're both complementary, but does it disprove the statement? No, because they're not congruent. What about 40 and 40?
No, it doesn't have
They're not complementary, they don't meet the first part of the statement. If I want a counterexample, they have to make the if part true and the then part false, which is why 45 and 45 works, but 30, 60, and 40, 40 don't.